Yes. Oh, okay, got it. That's why I called you up. I'd like to call the March 15th budget meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence to remember the service and sacrifices of the armed service members who protect our nation and the first responders who protect our neighborhoods. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander. Councilman Sackett. Councilman Quinn.
Here.
Councilman Brooks.
Here.
Councilwoman Noon.
Here.
Councilman Salberg.
Here.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Here.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Here.
Council President Morrison.
Here. Notice of this meeting was published in the Daily Record and the official newspapers for the Township of Rockaway. Notice was posted on the official bulletin boards of Rockaway Township, the Township website, and notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak at this time? We're going to have a presentation by Ray Sarinelli from Nisavatia, our auditor.
Good morning, everybody. At your budget meeting each year, I like to come and give you a review of the prior year so you can know how your previous budget went, how the previous year financially went, try and help you give you a basis for the decisions you're going to make today. So I always like to start talking about the current fund. That's your general operating fund. That's where taxation comes in. It's the overall general operation, and it's what we look at to make sure there's good financial stability for the township, which the current fund did have a very good year this year. So the opening fund balance, which is the primary indicator, very similar to retained earnings in a public company. Your fund balance, you started the year at $7.389 million. $4.5 million was used in the budget and generated $5.37 million during the year. So your ending fund balance was $8.26 million. So very good year financially. Number of reasons for that, the biggest being your interest collections. Everybody knows, in the economic cycle that we're in right now, interest rates are high. Your cash position during 2024 was also relatively high. There was a number of grants that have come in over the past few years, so your cash position is very good. Interest rates are high. You collected over $2 million of interest in 2024. I would say something that's probably not going to be repeated anytime soon. Historically, definitely the highest interest you've ever collected, probably in Rockaway Township's history. So a very good year for interest earnings, which really helped bolster the financial position. Most of your other revenues came in as expected, as budgeted for. There were a couple of open grants that were collected in 2024, which also helped the fund balance. The conservativeness of New Jersey accounting, you have to reserve any receivables that you have open, including grants, even though you're probably going to collect them. That restricts your fund balance in prior years, so that helped boost the fund balance up as well. Tax collection was down slightly, probably back to what its historical average was the last 2 to 3 years, and we've seen this across most municipalities. Tax collection was very good the past 2 to 3 years. Yours was up over 99%. Historically, you've been around 98.5%, so probably back to historical averages, probably what we'll be seeing going forward. With a good financial year, we ensured that the area of tax appeal, reserved for tax appeals, is very strong. There's a couple of appeals out there, so just trying to insulate yourself from future damages during a good financial year. So overall, the general operations, very, very good year. I think that's a testament to the good budgets that have been put together over the past couple of years. When you don't overly rely on your revenues and cut your expenses down to nothing, you're planning for the future. Those are good things that'll keep your financial stability very strong. One thing that is kind of unique, any questions on the current fund? I'm going to cover a couple of other topics, but overall, good results in the current fund. Any questions there? So one area that I want to talk about, and this is kind of unique to Rockaway Township, is you have a sewer district which operates within your current fund. And right now, the sewer district, so it basically has its own budget within the budget of the current fund. And currently, the sewer district is experiencing higher than normal expenses. There's some capital issues going on there, some things that need to be provided for. And so the fund balance for the sewer district specifically is down a little bit year over year in the sewer district. So I think this budget calls for planning for some capital things, for specifically a truck, I think, to try and lower those costs. So you're spending money to save money, basically. But so the overall plan there would be to try and stabilize the sewer district and make sure that that fund balance stabilizes. In your other trust funds, they operated as expected. Your reserves are very strong in the other trust funds. Capital, in 2024, you continue to plan of reappropriating old funds to get these funds working for you without having to issue debt. I think moving forward into 2025, that reappropriation plan has been complete, and we're moving back to pay-as-you-go capital and issuing debt in order to fund capital projects. In the water utility, also continues to be strong financially. The fund balance there started the year at $2.2 million, and it increased $100,000 to $2.3 million. The collection remained very strong in the water utility fund. There are some pretty major projects coming forward in the next few years, so I think the fact that the fund balance is strong now is a very important thing, and I think the upcoming budget plans for these projects that are going to come online in the next few years. So good plan, good long-term plan coming up in the budget. Water capital is very similar to your general capital fund. There was some reappropriating of old ordinances over the last few years, coming off of that plan and moving to pay-as-you-go capital and some debt for those things. So overall, finance is very good. The issues you're seeing in your utilities, or your sewer district and your water utility, not unique to Rockaway Township. What we're seeing across the board is that, these utilities have high capital costs. And so there's been some changes with some regulation at the federal government level. You have to invest in your utilities. So a lot of towns across the board, towns that haven't had debt outstanding for years in their utilities, are now issuing debt to try and handle some of this capital cost. So not unique to Rockaway Township, but definitely something that you're going to have to deal with over the next few years. But I would say starting 2025, you're in a great place financially just to handle some of those issues that are coming up. So you're going to be dealing with the budget today. You've all done a nice job over the last several years of having a good long-term plan for that budget. I'd urge you to continue, with those good plans, seeing years down the line, even though it's a one-year budget. Any questions on anything? That's it for me.
Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, just a couple of notes before we dive in here. One, I just want to take some time and thank administration I know that this is very intensive. Thank all the department heads and the departments for reviewing your budgets, getting them submitted on time, and then, again, thanks to you guys for providing the budget.
Council President?
Yes,
First, I'd like to thank the council members that are here for taking time out of your Saturday to do this. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the administration, the staff, for getting so many high-quality questions to us over the past several weeks about the budget and affording us some time to respond. I'd also like to thank the professionals that are here in this room on a Saturday morning also to support the township. And I'd just like to say I've been to a lot of other municipalities in the area, and the team we have here, starting with Lisa and Brian, all the folks behind us are more as competent as anybody you're going to find out there, and they're knowledgeable about their specific area that they control and their span of control, and they are passionate about the residents of Rockaway Township. And I appreciate, again, all your time that you put in so far to reviewing this budget, and thank all them for putting together conscious budgets that, are financially sound, but also address the needs of the residents of Rockaway Township. Thank you.
And on that note, Mr. Serinelli did make a point to say over the last couple of years, between the administration and the council, we've put ourselves in a very good, strong financial position. And this council has been intact for at least 4 years. So again, it's a testament to you guys. So we're going to go through the sections. As we go through the relevant section, whoever section, we would be requiring to come up, sit at the table up here. I also want to remind the council that with 2 council members absent, we still need 5 votes should any motion carry. As in years past, there are a number of sections of the budget that are non-negotiables, either through contracts or grants, money coming in. So I'm going to make a motion here. We are going to vote on these sections together. Again, as they are non-negotiable, and it's really just procedural. So I'd like to make a motion to pass sections 4, 7, 10, 14, 16, 18, 19, and 22 as written. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Sackett. Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Salberg.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that's 8 yeses, motion carries. And clerk, just as we go in the future, we don't have to call out council members if they're not here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's start with tab 1. We are going to open this up to council discussion. Anyone from the council? Yes, I'm sorry, and just to remind the council, we cannot discuss any specific persons by name and or position. So for example, if there's one person in that position, we cannot discuss them. Mr. Quinn.
Yes, thank you.
Put your mic on. Put your mic on.
Jack? Mike?
Sorry. Under page 1, if you would go down to provision for salary adjustments. All right. I have requested 13,000, and I just wanted to get clarification on that because last year there was nothing. The year before was nothing. The year before that was 8,000, then 7. So I want to know if there's wiggle room in that, and I would like to adjust that if there is.
The adjustments are to reward and compensate certain employees for the jobs they've been doing over the past several years, especially through time where we lost our BA and then we lost another BA. And so they've taken on different roles and responsibilities further, and based on some of the things we've had going on in the township, they've taken on a deeper role and more responsibility. So those increases are reflected in that number. I'd like to keep that number where it is.
All right, thank you.
Is there any other questions on tab 1? I'd like to make a motion to pass tab 1 as written. Can I,
I'll second it.
clerk, please take the roll?
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Salberg,
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks,
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that's 8 yeses, motion carries. I'd also like to point out to everybody that the council got these budget books some time ago, and there have been a lot of questions and answers that have come back between us and administration. So for those unaware, this is not the first time, obviously, that council is looking at these budgets. Most of the questions we have had have been sufficiently answered. Moving on to tab 2. Are there any questions from the council on tab 2? Open for discussion. I'd like to make a motion to pass tab 2 as written. Can I have a second?
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander,
Yes.
Councilman Quinn,
Yes.
Councilman Brooks,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon,
Yes.
Councilman Salberg,
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks,
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, it's 8 yeses, motion carries. Section 3, any council discussion?
I just have a comment. So first, I want to thank the administration. I did send in some last-minute questions yesterday in the 11th hour that were just kind of weighing on me. And they really came, you guys are just awesome. By 4:15, they were just, so you guys are awesome on that. But I did want to just make a note. I did question the vacancies in multiple departments, but specifically zoning. And just to clarify, Mrs. Palmieri, that we do have the, a potential candidate to fill any of those vacancies, or we have the ad up?
We have the advertisements out, we have resumes that we're reviewing, and we have
Fantastic.
intentions of filling that position.
Perfect, thank you.
Excellent. Any other council discussion?
No, Lisa, she took my question, so that's good.
Let the record show that Ms. Brooks took his question.
Listen,
I'll
I see
second.
vacancies, and
Any oth-
sometimes they worry me.
Any other council discussion?
One yellow.
I make a motion to pass section 3 as written. Can I have a second?
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander,
Yes.
Councilman Quinn,
Yes.
Councilman Brooks,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon,
Yes.
Councilman Salberg,
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks,
Yes,
Council President Morrison.
Yes. That is 8 yeses, motion carries. Ms. Palmieri, I neglected, I forgot about section 17. Is there still a desire to make that move?
I believe, yeah, that would be a good idea.
Okay. Ms. Palmieri had asked me to move up section 17, and I apologize, I skipped that. So we are going to jump to section 17 and open it up for discussion.
Council President, if you could mention what 17 is, I don't know that the department heads behind me know what those sections are. So this is
Section
actually municipal
17,
court.
section 17 deals with our municipal court and our public defender.
Who's Rich? Come up.
I apologize, that was me.
I was okay waiting my turn.
I
I don't know why.
I pushed that, that's all me.
That was Ms. Palmieri's request.
shh, don't complain.
I know.
These guys are not okay.
It's like
That's on you.
I work with them every day.
That's on you right now.
listen, guys, it's like Fast Pass at Disney.
All right, is there any council discussion on section 17? I make a motion to pass section 17 as written.
I'll second that.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander,
Yes.
Councilman Quinn,
Yes.
Councilman Brooks,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon,
Yes.
Councilman Salberg,
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks,
Yes,
Council President Morrison.
Yes. That's 8 yeses, motion carries. You're welcome.
So now we're going back.
We're going back to section 5.
can we take a break for a second?
Yeah. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break.
Okay.
We'll come back at 9:30.
Okay.
sweatshop, sweat is out.
thank you, everybody. Thanks, Rachel, for noticing that,
And Paul.
and Paul for noticing that Councilman Solberg needed some assistance. We are going to continue without him at this point. We're going to jump right back into this. I guess that's a good segue to our Emergency Services Department. I reached out to Aaron.
Okay,
Lisa is overseas right now.
okay.
Before we do that, can I make a motion to reopen section 1?
That's a good question. If we already passed section 1, it's not open. We can't reopen it.
How do you feel about it? Without the attorney present, I would
Yeah.
advise against it.
We'll move on. I'll message the attorney
Okay.
and see if we can do that, but we still have the whole meeting to go back to it. Okay. Section 5, if I could ask our fire personnel also. Okay, any council discussion on section 5?
Police
We'll
and
start
fire.
with police and fire.
I just want to make a comment that I just questioned what a Knox box was, and I just want to thank the very thorough answer I got, and I'm good with it.
Thank you.
If you want to maybe explain to everyone else, I don't know.
So Knoxbox is a rapid entry system that the township uses. It provides us immediate entry without damaging businesses and buildings in case of an emergency. Rockaway Township has a great relationship with our police department, and we share the access to our 2 sergeant vehicles and ESU unit, so if they're on scene first, they can get access to the building. And it's been working fantastic for a number of years, and we continue to use it and put it out into the community every day.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the only thing I probably maybe should have made this in tab 1, but since the police is the biggest chunk of our budget, I was looking to make a motion to appropriate some funds for a grant writer. Now, there's a lot of grants out there. I see that, there's a lot of grants for policing and other sections. So I don't know if it's appropriate to do it here. Again, section 1 maybe a little more appropriate, but if I can, I would add $40,000. So I'd try to make a motion to add $40,000 for a grant writer.
And I'll second that, because I believe we do need a grant writer. A town this big, we should have.
Can I just?
Can I interrupt? We actually have an appropriation in there already for a grant writer. I believe it is under tab 1, and it's under account
Page 4.
029, page 4. It's for $20,000 for a grant writer.
But Lisa, is that for an in-house grant writer
That's-
or a company?
That's for a company.
Good.
What page is that on?
On page 4. It's account 029 on page 4.
It's under contracted services.
That's what most towns use now.
I see it, yeah. It's number 29, 029. So, Council President, I guess you're waiting for a response from attorney if we could reopen tab 1? 'Cause if I can't do it in this tab 4, I guess I missed the opportunity to do it here.
No, when we're done with this section, Councilwoman Noon is going to make a motion to open up tab 1 again, and we can address it at that point.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So were you withdrawing your motion?
You didn't make a motion.
You did make a motion.
I did.
I did, yes. I'll withdraw that motion.
All right, is there any other questions on section 5? Yes. Turn on your mic, please.
page 75, I know we have an opening for public safety telecom. That's the dispatch. Do we have an application yet?
Correct. We're in the process currently.
Good.
And that should be within this month, actually.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for the chief.
Councilman?
Chief, since the addition of the additional officers, have you seen a decrease in the overtime? Or are we not up to speed with the amount of officers that we need to, where we thought we were gonna kind of streamline it?
Correct. That's currently in the process now of the interview process with a start date on all of those officers, May 7th. Right, so obviously, once we bring on, and that's for 7, as noted, so we have 7 officers we're looking for to bring them on by May 7th academy start date, which will obviously have an impact on current overtime.
Excellent.
Great, thank you.
Good question. Any other council discussion? I'd like to make a motion to pass Section 5 as written.
I'll second that.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Salberg. Oh, sorry. Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that's 7 yeses, motion carries. Councilwoman?
Oh, can I make a motion, please, to reopen tab 1?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Sackett. Nope. Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that's 7 yeses, motion carries. Ms. Noon?
Okay, so, I'm a little bit confused from last year. So salary increases, are they 3.5%?
The salary increases?
Yes.
So the contractual salary increases, people who are covered under a union contract, it's in their contract. For the
Okay.
non-union members, it's at 3% budgeted.
Okay. So for some, it's over 3%?
For some, it's 3% for all non-union, but there are provisions for salary adjustments for the mayor to use at his discretion.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, with tab 1, like you said, I would like to go back to that page 4, account number 29, make a motion to increase the grant writer expense from $20,000 to $40,000.
The problem is that's a contract. That's an outside service, yeah.
Can I ask a
No, it's contracted, it's not a contract.
No, but it's an outside service.
But I don't know if it's been bid.
Well, there's a motion on the floor, so and then we'll open up for discussion. So, is somebody going to second Mr. Wojtovich?
I'll second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
What are we opening up for discussion?
No, he made a motion to increase account 2229 by $20,000 to a total of $40,000 for a grant
Can
writer.
we have an explanation?
Yeah.
We are going, so we address the motion, and then we'll open up for discussion, and then we'll vote on it.
Yeah, so we're discussing.
So you're not.
No, we have to vote on his motion.
So if we vote on it, then we.
And then what's,
Right.
right,
We're discussing.
I'm sorry.
his income.
No, we wanted
You're
to
right.
discuss first before we vote.
It's been a long
The way
morning.
that delay has thrown me off a little bit.
We're all good, Howard.
The way you
Don't
said
worry.
it,
I wasn't gonna let you go to vote yet.
Wow,
Thank you.
oh my God. I was in a good, I had a good rhythm. Okay, so I'm going to ask the councilman to state his motion for a few minutes. We'll have some discussion, and is that okay? And then you
That's
make a
fine.
motion? Okay.
Would you like to let Lisa?
Right, let her explain what it is.
Just real quick.
I know I'm off,
Just
not
real
that
quick,
much.
I have, I think, 2 quotes from Grant Writer Services that are roughly in this area, but the more we use the service, the more grant writing, obviously that price is flexible. So, I have no objection to increasing it from 20 to 40.
So that's the question is, does going from 20 to 40 give us more time,
More service.
more service? So, in a
But
realistic
I would
question,
say that doesn't necessarily translate that we're gonna get more grants, we don't know.
it gives us more opportunities for grants.
More exploring.
How much of the service have we used already?
We haven't.
So-
We've never had it.
Yes,
So
we do.
zero service we've
We've
used
all
so
done it
far.
in-house. All the grants that we've received have.
Right, no, I
from us.
understand that, I understand that, so,
Let's try with them.
Could maybe I make I think our recommendation on the budget was, let's start with this,
20.
and we could always increase it, next year, even during the year, we can ask for an adjustment,
To see
right?
if it's worth it.
Yeah, to see if it's even worth it, right?
So, Ms. Palmieri, this is something that we could adjust throughout the year should we see good results?
Well, I would have to do, if I ran short in administrative and executive, because we went from 20 to 40, just say, I would have to do a transfer from another line item, in which you would all have to approve.
Which we've done before.
Okay, but if we go to 40, we don't use it, that goes back to the budget? I mean, is
If
that?
we don't use it, it would lapse into fund balance at the
Okay.
end of next year.
Don't do it. Okay.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this?
So I just have a question in terms to the service. So you received a quote, and that quote, or 2 quotes, and that quote entails a service that we think, like, for example, what they're gonna give us, like, are they finding the grants and reaching out to us? Are we reaching out to them?
I think it works both ways. Again,
Okay.
we haven't used it yet, so I'm not
Right.
100% sure.
But our intention hopefully is $20,000 is gonna get us 100. That's what I hope.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean-
That's why we're,
You have to spend
Okay.
money to make money.
exactly.
Yeah, whatever grants are out there.
right,
yes.
so for example, they would have a meeting with the mayor and the team, and the mayor would say, look, I wanna do this to my town, right? I wanna see light poles, I wanna see this, now they'll go and look to see what grants are available in that realm, and then that's where they'll do it. It usually isn't just carte blanche. Usually the mayor has a vision, or the administration has a vision, and that grant writer will detail their work to that vision, essentially how it works.
Yeah, you have to be specific, just like with the Ford Face House. Every year we apply, but you find out what we can do with the next grant application.
Right. Just
And then you
sometimes
take it from there.
services like that just always worry me a little, because it's like, are they all writing 6 grants for the same grant for 6 different towns, right? And it's like, luck of
Yeah, I
the
think
draw.
that's part of why we're starting
Yeah,
with the 20.
so, I think I agree that it should stay there just to see how it works, and then if it's lucrative, maybe somewhere down the road, finding someone of our own.
Based on discussions now, then, if it's gonna be more than 20,000 throughout the year, we could reappropriate funds to that. I mean, 20,000 is not a huge amount. I'm sure we could do that. I would withdraw my motion, leave the 20, and then if needs to be, we'll, I'm sure, make a motion.
And I
for
just
more funds.
like to say, along the lines of what Councilman Brooks stated, I certainly look for impact or input from all of you. I know you have passion towards grants for police, and you know a lot about those, so anything all of you have, ideas for where you'd like to see opportunities and improvements to the town that we could leverage this service, certainly reach out to administration.
This is a great
Sounds good.
progress on that.
That's good. Any other discussion on tab 1?
I would like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion for the provision for salary adjusted to be lowered to $10,000.
Which page?
Page 2.
Council President, if I could just,
Yeah.
before you vote on the motion, right? So $3,000 in the township budget is a drop in the well. $3,000 to people who, we're trying to compensate fairly is a lot of money.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Okay. Any other discussion on tab one? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to reclose tab one. Can I have a second?
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that's 7 yeses, motion carries. Okay, we're going to open tab 6, Public Works.
Favorite.
We're open for discussion.
I'll start. Again, I sent the questions over, but I just want to get a little more clarification. Lots of vacancies are in here, but we're confident that we have out the ads and/or the resumes or the personnel to fill those vacancies to ensure we have a complete team.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Jack, we should take turns.
That means we didn't talk, so that's good for the public.
If I could just add some color to what Mr. Knoll just said, I think it's kind of the nature of public works. People move around to different towns, opportunity to get salary increase, all those things. I can tell you that our personnel officer, Michelle Moran, does a phenomenal job. Like, I don't know how many DPW workers she's hired in the past year, and it's not easy. Getting qualified candidates, interviewing, all those things. So, yeah, it's a great question, Councilwoman Brooks, and it's just kind of the nature of the beast, it seems like. And plus, we have a lot of long-standing employees that have recently retired. So, Al's done a great job of moving people up in the ranks and getting them prepared to take over for some of the people who have retired and are planning on retiring.
Any other questions on tab 6?
Just have a quick question, follow up from what the mayor said. With the movement, Al, from they move from one town to the other, and it's always about salaries and, trying to make the most. Are we good with our salary allocations for each of those positions, or would you consider us to be on the low end in the county where we have to maybe reconsider what we're putting out there in terms of salary?
Funny you mention that. I just did a study through Public Works Association in New Jersey. We are right on par, if not ahead of other towns as far as our salaries.
Good, thank you.
Any other discussion on section 6?
I just have another question in terms of increase of cost of things. The salt and all of that stuff you need for the roads, you feel that will be appropriate even if things continue to creep up in price?
For now, yes.
Okay.
Al's a big fan of global warming.
Exactly. Exactly.
Also, just so you're aware, we do have a snow and ice removal trust, should we fall short in 26 bucks.
Yeah, we just don't know where the increases may.
Right.
Unfortunately, so I just worry that I want to make sure they have everything they need, because, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'll put our town up against any other town, especially when it comes to snow, road, all of that.
They're the best.
Yeah, and along the lines of what Councilwoman Brooks says, I think that, Mr. Knopf probably has the most unpredictable department that we have, and I think that you've done a very good job.
Thank you.
Lisa loves it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on section 6? I'd like to make a motion to pass section 6, approve section 6 as written.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Abstain. That is 6 yeses, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to do Health Department and Recycling. Section 8. Any discussion on Section 8? I'd like to make a motion to pass Section 8 as written.
I'll second that.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that's 7 yeses, motion carries. Thank you for your preparation.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Pete had a 5-page thing he wanted
I'm
me to
sure
read,
he did.
but I practiced in front of the mirror last night for an hour, but
Would you like a few minutes just to say
I'll
it?
go.
All right.
I'll go, I appreciate it.
Peter had a short statement, it was only 5 pages.
I've never seen someone turn
I know.
so red, Jake.
Nice job. Okay, opening up section 9. Environmental Committee Recreation. Section 9 for discussion. Any council discussion? Councilwoman Noon?
Yes, I'd like to put on the table of, just opinions for everyone, discussion on lifeguards. Anybody have any thoughts on lifeguards, especially with the voting ordinance that we have, and either increasing the lifeguards or making more positions for lifeguards? I'd just like to get everyone's opinion on that.
I know we had a nice discussion about that at the last council meeting. I would like to challenge our lifeguards to come back with some proposals. I am not an expert at all.
I don't think you can challenge
I don't mean challenge, I mean-
17-year-old
No,
kids to
well,
come back with.
whoever our head lifeguard is or whoever is writing that budget, I think that we
I
need,
would think that would be Dave.
okay, then I'd like at some point, again, this is something that we can adjust in season. I'd like to hear your perspective on changes that we could possibly make. The answer may not necessarily just be adding more payroll. There could be, I know Mr. Quinn had suggested, correct me if I'm wrong, more enforcement or signage of life jackets on watercraft, things like that. Our lifeguards do a great job. Yes, I think they could probably use some assistance. I just want to make sure, that there's not any other options besides just adding payroll.
I agree.
On the line item, there is a line for beach manager.
Turn on your,
Oh, I'm sorry. If you look above the lifeguards,
which page?
Page 142, recreation. You see a beach manager. So obviously, if your discussion is with the lifeguards, that person,
Well, that would be
Should be.
Mr. Dyer.
Correct, we have,
you consider the beach manager too?
no, we have a beach manager.
Right, exactly.
And so I think we have, all our lifeguards are returning this year except one who became a police officer. So we have a senior staff coming back, and then we have a posting now for limited positions available, 2 or 3 to add. But to your point, they can up their game a little bit and be a little more vigilant to what we have before we add 3 more lifeguards.
Maybe we should talk to the lifeguard who became a police officer, because
Yeah.
he's got both.
I already tried him. I ran into him. He's but yeah, I think I'll speak to the lifeguards.
Okay.
But I also noticed that their pay has been flat for the past 3 years.
I've actually, the reason we do have 8 returning and seniors, because I bumped it up last year. Last 2 years, they're back at the market. We were losing a lot of them to White Meadow Lake and other areas. So they're at par with the surrounding area.
Okay.
Any other discussion on section 9?
I have something, no one else does. So I probably bring it up every year and I ask the question every year. I don't necessarily have a solution, and again, I thank everyone for responding, but I just look at our recreational costs in terms of what we give back to the programs. And just based upon what I see, are we doing residence checks, right? So if a program has Denville participants and borough participants and Rockaway Township participants, are we subsidizing, essentially giving Denville a check because we're now subsidizing a program that's, merged with another town. And again, it's not looking to take anything away from our residents, but these are their tax dollars, and they're going into a program for their kids to participate in, or the seniors and all of that stuff. So it just seems to me sometimes that it doesn't really feel that we have a good grasp on who's actually participating in these programs. So if you have 100 participants, and I'm not going to call out any program specifically, I know there's one program that I can probably confidently say is 95 to not 99% Rockaway Township residents. Then there's other programs that I don't think are. I think maybe they're 50, 40. And, we're giving them not only the use of our facilities, our fields, our grounds guys are out there lining fields, lights, to find that there's potentially a percentage that are Denville residents or borough residents. And again, I have no issue with them coming in and participating, but are the Rockaway Township families being subsidized for those programs? And I know they kind of operate as separate entities in some respects, but long-winded answer is that's just something that's been weighing on me for quite a few years. I feel like we're writing checks to Denville or the borough, and
So we're writing checks just to the soccer program, pick any one of them. So when let's say we give them a check for a reimbursement of, let's say hockey, we cover their league fees or a portion of it.
right, but do we know how many of those participants are Rockaway Township?
Your point is valid, right? It's a very valid point, and we don't have a grasp on that right now, and hence some of the conversations we've had with the council.
I just like to put it on the record.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there reimbursement in kind, like, for example, lacrosse? I know lacrosse, we use Denville's fields.
Right.
Right, as opposed to ours. So, I mean, is there, if we don't have an answer on, or do we know if Denville is funding any of these programs as well?
Right.
I mean,
My day in, day out is two things, the budget line and the ordinance.
Mhm.
So if there's a need to change the ordinance, that can be done.
I wonder if there is room to do that research and come back in the future with some numbers.
It's easy to get, I can get a list for every program, who's out of town and who's in town tomorrow.
But then also if there is any other contributions by the other towns, and how does that weigh out? I think Ms. Brooks has a very valid point there.
Right.
Like, I've been told Denville charges to use their lights.
Sure. And the maintenance, right?
I think the question's bigger than, the issue is bigger than just that. And I think we gotta look at everything.
Right. My point just is, we're looking to make sure our residents have services and resources, and that's what we're here to do. And I just
Right.
sometimes, I'm not trying to be mean, but, we gotta take care of our own.
Mr. Quinn?
Yeah, and Dave, if you're looking at that and you're getting numbers, see what the in-kind contribution is as far as field usage in those towns, that they're contributing to us.
Right.
Because like softball, I know sometimes uses Denville's softball field. All right, so, and I know lacrosse uses, just as you said, Denville's fields
Right.
also.
Mr. Friedland?
Yeah, I discussed this with Councilman Quinn also. Outside organizations, not affiliated with our rec programs, want to use our fields, okay, for their own benefit and making, money. Are we in place to charge them yet? We discussed this years ago.
Right, we don't rent our fields out to anybody.
That's not true. No, during the summer, there's also companies that run baseball camps.
That's through the baseball program. Through your registration, that is paid through the baseball let's say baseball registration is $100. In that, you're gonna have the McDonald camp show up. So that's not paid to us, it's paid through the baseball program.
They circumvented it, man.
What about, like, I know we have some groups or individuals that'll run, like, a basketball camp and take one of the courts there, or personal trainers on the turf field.
That's just got to show up. Got someone just showing up.
Yeah,
It's not-
and again, this gets back to some of the conversations I've had where it's a bigger issue, right? We got to get our arms around it. It's a big issue, and I know we've talked about it, and I brought it up to the council months ago around some of these things. So I think we just need to come to. It's a very complex challenge in the issue, and there's a lot of things that play into it, and it involves children. So I want to be mindful of the decisions we make, so I'm probably taking longer than I normally would to, or we're taking longer than we normally would to make decisions around it, but I think, within the next few months, we need to move forward with a plan on, all the things we're talking about, everything.
So-
as it relates to recreation.
With that being said, Dave, in other words, like you said, you mentioned McDonald.
Correct.
They go and pay baseball to use the fields?
It's incorporated. When you get baseball, it's like our summer camp. When you sign up for summer camp, we have functions that show up for summer camp. Like a face painter will show up one day. With your registration fee for summer camp, for baseball, for example, you're getting that camp to show up.
So baseball is paying the guy running the camp and then inviting baseball kids to come to the camp.
Yeah, but so whose liability? I mean,
They all have insurance.
Dave,
Yep, we all COI. So you're getting to the point where they kind of are circumventing a private company coming on to municipal property. But with that said, we don't rent out. I get phone calls every day. Hey, I'm a men's soccer club from Paramus. We want to use. No, we don't. I don't have enough time for our own programs for all these fields, let alone rent out anything. So, if
but
you-
we're still responsible for the upkeep of those fields
Yep.
when they're using it. So the town is paying the upkeep for the organization to get money from that company.
So the organization is running a camp for township children. That's,
It's
yeah,
They're bringing in an expert.
they're bringing an expert. It's like, I'm sure lacrosse probably runs clinics through a third party for lacrosse players. It's no different than that. They just advertise it that it's a McDonald's camp or whatever.
Well, I mean, it's a company. The camp is a profit, they're doing it for a profit to make money, so.
It's just like soccer has professional. They've hired ball trainers.
But like I said, it's a big topic to discuss.
Yeah, I think so.
And so Brian did work on an ordinance with Jack, myself, on fees for our fields.
Yep.
And
Well, that's
just
right, we never continued
it just
that.
never got implemented past the point at which Brian
Well,
had it, I think, ready to go, right? I mean, as far as I know.
Then you're saying fees for our own programs, not outside programs.
Why?
No.
No, it was outside programs.
So again, I don't want to put Band-Aids here or there. Let's talk about recreation, how we're going to handle recreation in Rockaway Township. Fields, fees, reimbursements, all these, insurance, all these things, and let's come to a determination of what we're going to do with all these things and move forward with it. And like I said, I've taken longer than I probably want to because it's a big part of our town.
Right.
It's always, you grew up playing these sports in this town, and it's morphed over the years. There was a time when the township used to control all the sports
Everything.
and run all the sports, and now it's gone just the opposite. Now all the programs are run by volunteers, right? So it's changed. It's multifaceted. There's different sports have different needs. We have our township sports. All of them use township facilities except for hockey. Hockey has to pay for a rink, so that's got to be built into it, right? Because we don't have a facility right now for hockey to use, right? So we got to look at all. It's just a lot, and we need to come together. And I promise, in the next couple of months, we'll have some recommendations. We'll sit down with the council and go through it, and then have discussion and start moving forward.
And I got two things to that, right? The first thing to that, and I know I've brought it up many years now, and Joe and I have talked about it too,
Yeah.
is I feel that our town programs which really need to keep kids off the street and off of running around the mall and doing all those things. Off the iPads, 100%, is really almost not the rec director, but in that sense, they're pretty much like, at the school, right? Like you can go to the high school, they have an athletic director, right?
Yeah.
We'd almost need the same person
Right.
to be able to establish everything. We would avoid the conflicts with fields because they would be in control. We would, they would be able to go out and get all the uniforms and prepare your basic necessities for recreational sports, right? There's too much club sports out there, right? And daddy ball and mommy pay this and everybody pay that to play, right? And there's a ton of that, and we shouldn't want that in our town. We should want to be able to provide, a systematic thing where we say, you know what, rec soccer is only in the fall. Boom, we don't have to worry about doing anything in the spring because the spring is for baseball. Like, let's take that back as a community, not let these guys just run things haphazardly. I've been in a position where I ran baseball for years. I thought I wasn't running baseball anymore, but now all of a sudden I might have to again because it was taken away from the kids that needed it the most. The rec kid, not the kid that plays high school, not the kid that plays on a travel team, the kid that maybe just, in-house. That's what we're about.
Right.
That's what recreation sports is supposed to be about.
Right.
The training
And
program.
And there's different,
Hang on.
absolutely different approaches to handling it, and I think, right, it's also, you gotta look at it's changed over time.
Yep.
When we were kids, there weren't travel programs, there weren't club sports. They're prevalent now.
Mr.
Like,
Mayor, and I think we're kind of diverting away
Yeah.
from.
Go ahead.
Can I just, one other thing, just the budget.
Yeah, we need to keep this in the budget.
No, this is a budget thing.
I know we're all very passionate about recreation.
No, this is a budget thing,
All right.
and
He promised it.
I know it's gonna sound odd, right, what I'm bringing up, and because it kind of goes a little bit with what the mayor just requested. There's a fair amount of money that's allocated to Babe Ruth baseball, and I have streamlined that program for years, and I don't believe I need the funds that are there. Can I reallocate some of that money and present it to the hockey program, which needs it because of the renting of the ice and everything else like that?
Which page are you on?
I'm on page 144.
Which lines?
Lines 135 and 136. I would like to make a motion to take 10,000 from the Babe Ruth program and senior Babe Ruth and allocate it to the hockey program because of the ice costs that have increased over the years is crazy. Yes.
Get the last item, 145.
So you're taking 10,000 from line item 135 and adding 10,000 to line item 145?
Correct.
So just for the budget purposes, we need specifics. How much out of line 135, how much out of line 136?
He said
Okay.
that.
I would say
No, we didn't.
I would say take all of it out of 136 because we no longer have that program anymore, and take
Rest out of it.
the rest balance out of the 135 and apply that to 145.
I got that.
So it's 10,000 out of 136.
Nope.
No,
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 135.
4,512 out of 136, and then 5,498 or 88,
5488.
5,488.
Yep.
Out of 135,
Makes sense.
and then move that to hockey.
correct.
Do you want to sum that up and make a motion?
Before you do, can I just ask the director what's your input on this request? I mean,
I agree.
okay.
I would like to make a motion to reallocate some of the funds from 135 and 136 as
You
noted.
need to be specific.
Specific, oh my gosh, the numbers Joe just calculated.
Hang on a second. I can make the motion if you like, because I have the numbers. So, I'd like to make a motion to reduce line item 135 by $5,488. I'd like to reduce line item 136 by $4,512 and increase line item 145 by $10,000.
Correct, thank you.
Net zero.
Yes, thank you, council.
I'll second that.
Okay. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes, go hockey.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes,
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
No.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that is 6 yeses, 1 no, motion passes. Any other discussion in section 9?
I did. Page 145, 250, special events. In the past years, we've always adopted a budget and it's never expended, and this year it's over doubled.
Yes. So we've hired a special events coordinator, and she's got about a half a dozen new events planned. One of them, not that it's new, but coming back Rockaway Day, we're having the seniors prom. We're doing some events for Lake Appreciation Day. So that's what she's come up with budgets based on advertising, vendors. We're probably going to be spending more on Rockaway Day. We're going out and getting and soliciting from businesses to be sponsors. I know PNC is going to sponsor a couple things, but that's what that budget is for all the new events we're running in town. That's what it's for.
All right, but we've never spent what we've budgeted for in the past.
We've never had a community event coordinator. So she has a whole calendar planned out for the year of events every month. I think it's been posted on Facebook. So we haven't done events like we're doing.
And National Night Out is part of
Yep.
that too, right? Which
Okay,
was
Yeah,
last
it's
year.
built in there too.
Right, but do we ever spend anything on like the Memorial Parade? Or
That would be in there as
Hanukkah?
well.
I thought,
But,
All the events
but
in
it's,
town.
it's new events too. So this accounts for the events we've had plus the new events that she has planned.
okay.
Yeah.
But do
So I think it'd be a valid question for next year. If we look at it and this year we only spend 40,000, then maybe we look
I
at
know, I
that.
ask every year, we never spend what
Oh,
we have
we're gonna,
paid.
we've never had a community event coordinator, and she has a whole calendar for the year. We're basically doing 2 to 3 events every month within the township.
Okay.
So, my goal, obviously, is in hiring her is to do this, so.
Is there any other discussion on section 9? Mr. Friedlander?
Yeah, line item 140, girls softball. You see, the number's been the same, 17.6.
Which page are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Then the expenditure at the end of the year was only 3,000.
What page?
The same page, 145.
Oh.
First line item. I mean, you're adding, $50,000 to,
Where's they not get funded? Look at the top line.
Well, here's girls softball reimbursement. This is for 23, so by the time we get all this paperwork together, that number will be completely wiped out.
So that'll come from
Yep.
the 2024 budget, and it'll probably be at the 17.6.
Right, by the time this is all these programs get paid out to the penny, everything on this budget line.
Yeah, so they run a year behind, basically.
They're all volunteers by the time they get their stuff together.
Spring.
The same for soccer, if you look at soccer.
Yeah.
so that's why the yellow, everything,
Trust me, every penny in those budget lines for those programs are spent,
okay.
reimbursed. It's
I just
one-
I just wanted to
They're,
confirm, because you're going 50,000 above from the others, and yet there's nothing on top, before.
No, it's just a matter of when this is printed and in the calendar year, but every program gets reimbursed their budget line.
Right.
Who does this? Someone
Okay.
do it, because
As long as it's getting done, that's the important thing. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? I'd like to make a motion to pass section 9, inclusive of the changes that were approved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that's 7 yeses, motion passes. Section 11. Any discussion on section 11?
Section 11 is utilities.
AccuVac.
I'm sorry, AccuVac.
thanks, Dan.
Any discussion, council? I'd like to make a motion to pass section 11 as written.
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes. That is 7 yeses, motion carries. Opening up section 12 for discussion.
I just wanted to know if we accounted for, I know I got a letter in the mail at my house for 20%, so just want to make sure we're accounting for all that.
Again, you took my question.
And mine, Rachel, thanks.
We're all getting the letter, so I just want to make sure.
Any other discussion on section 12? I'd like to make a motion to pass section 12 as written.
So moved.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, that's 7 yeses, motion carries. Opening up section 13. Any discussion? I'd like to make a motion to pass section 13 as written.
I'll second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, 7 yeses, motion carries. Opening up section 15. Any discussion?
Just for the public, tax appeal is section 15.
I'll make a motion to approve section
Second.
15.
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, 7 yeses, motion carries. Opening up section 20, reserve for uncollected taxes. Any discussion?
17, then we had to
That's a
17.
automatic.
Everything else was automatic. Section 16 was automatic. We covered section
17
17.
was
18 was automatic. 19 was automatic.
20.
Yeah, okay, 20 should have been there.
Once again, any discussions on section 20?
Can I have a question? About our taxes, just in general?
Yeah.
Don't tell me no, Mary. In the past, we've always relied on, accruing, additional taxes with, say Pondview or other complexes, being completed during the year, right? It kind of gives us a bump that we don't expect, right? So, do we have an idea, like, where we are with, any future projects in town that would allow for additional, or are we at the point where we're maxed, where we're not really getting huge chunks of money that we, as a council, should be aware of to say, hey, we're not getting any additional funds and, in terms of anticipation for budgets?
Hey, we're not getting any additional funds. No, I think we're, so our town, our strategy, has been to, not overdevelop our town like some of the surrounding towns are. So, we have been choosing to protect, a lot of the land in our town to prevent overdevelopment. So there are no, future, development projects we see that are gonna greatly increase our tax base.
Okay, and that's great to know, because that also has to go back to the school board, right? Because they also have to understand that.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you, I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. I guess the only thing that's gonna impact us is as the surrounding towns that send students to Knowles, it's gonna impact our regional taxes.
And you know what my idea for that is.
Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. Quinn?
Yeah, and based on what the mayor just said, sitting on the planning board, there has been nothing large coming into town. So, yeah, and I agree with the mayor that we're doing the right development in this town, not overdeveloping. And I'm still waiting to see what COA has to come back to us with, because that's a joke and a half. Thank you.
Any other discussion? I'd like to make a motion to pass section 20 as written.
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, 7 yeses, motion carries. Opening up section 21, water utility.
I make a motion to approve this as is.
No, hang on a second. Sorry,
I have a
hang on. With all due respect, I'm gonna run these sections, Mr. Quinn.
I know we have an opening, but
So, I do have a question. So, page 227, water sewer repair. Are we really going from we're going from 212,000 down to $55,000? I know that we,
There were 3 of them, now there's only 1.
Repair 1. There's repair 1 and repair 2.
no, well, we had approved in 2024, 212,000, and we had 1. We're bringing that number down to 55,000, understanding the amount of water main breaks, other issues that we have here. Are we comfortable with that number?
I would just say, if you look at the bottom numbers of full-time employees, they're the same from 2024 and this year. I think the department's just reallocated.
Yeah, correct. We
Yeah.
had retiree moving internally people to backfill that position and hiring laborers. As laborers.
Again, as long as you guys are the experts, as long as you're comfortable with it, then I'm comfortable with it. Okay.
Yeah, it's within the salary range, the salary ordinance, so we have
Any other discussion on section 21?
I just have a, go ahead.
Okay, page 230.
Is your mic on? There you go.
Page 230, let's do the first one. Okay, sub-account 071. One of the things that was discussed with Lisa, if you see, where is it? 290 down to 250 recommended, but there is some wiggle room in that. I suggest we drop it down to 225. And Lisa did say it was feasible.
I'd like an opinion on that.
Did we have that discussion, or I had that with?
Yes,
Sackett?
yes.
Okay.
Went over that,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just concerned because of the notice we were all just speaking about with the BPU and the increase. Again, if it runs over, I'm gonna have to be able to transfer it from another line, assuming that there's,
Conversely, if we don't use it, it goes into our
conversely,
general.
if we don't use it, it goes back into water surplus.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that it goes from 250 down to 225.
Is there a second? Okay. Any other discussion on section 21?
Yes, I'm not finished.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Quinn.
Page 231. Cell phones, sub-account 077. We've been spending 10,000 on cell phones, up to 13,000. I want to drop it down to 10,000. Back to feasible 10,000.
The reason why we upped it, we currently went through some upgrades on our SCADA system. Everything is now cellular, so we're using cell service on our SCADA system.
And what is that system?
That's what controls the whole water system, everything from sending our tank levels to telling pumps to turn on and turn off, vice versa, and our alarms too.
So little important.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were radio at one point, and the radios get a lot of interference, it kept dropping out. The cell service is a little more reliable for us. So that's unlimited data, constantly going back and forth at a flat rate.
Okay, so that's the reason for the increase?
Yeah.
Okay. One-
3,000 seems pretty reasonable for that.
Okay, I'm 0 for 2, huh?
Sorry.
Okay, let's go for 3. Next page. Sub-account 168, water sampling.
That varies year to year depending on what the DEP and the EPA sampling schedule lines up with. Some years it could be low, some it could be high. If they require us to do additional sampling, especially with all this PFAS, that could hit us any time.
All right.
And that's at the discretion of the state.
Yeah, the state sets a sampling schedule every year and it varies every year, so one year
Hence
we
who's
could be
running the
doing,
department.
yeah, one year could be 40 lead and copper samples and next 2 years you're not doing it, so it fluctuates a lot.
Well, I'd still like to cut something. I'd like to recommend 80,000, which was there. If you look at past history, I would go down to 60,000 on that.
Is there a second? Anything else, Mr. Friedland?
0 for 3, I've stopped.
You're gonna, Mr. Quinn?
My yard.
So much for coming.
Is his microphone
Jack, your mic's not on.
Turn your mic on, Mr. Quinn.
All right, 228, and there's an opening. I just want to know that we're backfilling that.
Yes, yeah, we have advertisements out.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on section 21?
I just have a question, it's just a general question. So 2 years ago, we entered into an agreement with an outside company, correct? For the water towers?
Yes,
Yes.
you're correct.
Okay. How is that working out versus the way we were doing it?
It's working out pretty good. They just completed the last tank was our Low Erie. We're working towards doing the tank at Sanders Road Booster Station, but we put it on hold until we get our Fox Hills treatment plant up because there's a lot of logistics to figure that out. They've been very responsive. They've actually been doing projects ahead of schedule.
Okay.
So, like, for instance, the Low Erie tank, they were planning on being out of service until this time. They started, I guess it was September-ish?
It was in September, and they were finished by the end of the new, by the beginning of the new year.
Yeah, so they're pretty good and they're very responsive.
All right, so you're happy with them?
Yes, very
Okay, great. Thank you.
Can I jump in real quick? With the overtime, I saw that it was decreased by 30 grand. Is that, we're okay decreasing that without an issue?
We hope so.
So I just want to make sure. I love decreasing
Yeah.
overtime, but, you know, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Positions filled.
Yeah, well, positions filled, correct. You know, that'll bring us to full staff, and we'll be all right with that.
And that includes the assistant superintendent?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'd like to make a motion to pass section 21 as written.
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Brooks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks.
Yes.
Council President Morrison.
Yes, 7 yeses, motion passes.
Hey, Council President, before we move on, I just want to say, since we brought on Brian to run the water department, I think Mr. North will agree, it's just running great, and bringing on Vinny and working with Dennis, the three of them really are coordinating their efforts to run a very complex and outdated water system in our township, and they do a phenomenal job with it, and I just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to move on to section 23, capital improvement. If we could also have our fire and police take the hot seat. Okay, opening up section 23 to discussion.
So I have a note, it's not necessarily listed, but it's more so in terms of our trash collection and contracts. So I had sent the question over, and I was just wondering if the township would consider, obviously 2025, we've probably missed the boat, but we pay a lot for vegetation vegetative waste pickup. And they come 5 days a week essentially. I find that to be a bit excessive. Would it be something that maybe the municipality could look into in terms of maybe limiting that and then looking to see if we could get some sort of trash collection as part of the service in town? I love that we have a zero increase budget. I think it's fantastic. Our portion, does a lot with, what we need. But I do think that it would be something that would take a burden off taxpayers as well, because we're all paying, I personally got another bill for $200 for the quarter, for my own trash collection. And I'm shopping around, by the way. I'm that lady. That's right. I'm that lady. And if you look at social media and just having conversations with residents, and I specifically will speak for my ward, I keep joking that the water tab is great and you guys are amazing, but I get my water from my backyard. So, there's a reality where up in the 6th ward, they would love trash collection, and they would even love the leaf truck and things of that nature, that if there's ways that maybe we could start looking long-term at things we can bring back to in-house or provide a service, even if there was a small increase to that tax, it would still relieve a burden off our taxpayers, because they're paying almost $1,000 a year to have trash collection, potentially depending on who you're using and whatnot. Anyway, that being said, it's just something I just hope we could even look into and potentially maybe find a way to do it. Not today, but maybe tomorrow or the year after, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's a valid point. It's a conversation I've had with Al in the past. Like, to me, it's probably a break-even point, like, $500, say, right? So right now, everybody, I guess you're going to have a portion of people that maybe don't have garbage pickup, that live in certain section of town. Maybe they burn their garbage or whatever, but probably
Hope not.
Jeff,
They better not burn.
if you average, I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying if you average it out, right, it could be, so let's say we outsource garbage pickup. Like I would struggle to see the town doing it themselves, the cost to get trucks and
No, I agree
staff
with that.
up. But then when you start to go to outsourcing, part of the issue, I think, and Al, you can grab a microphone and correct me if I'm wrong, like it's going to be probably one company bidding on it, maybe two, and it's kind of going to be at their mercy of what they want to charge. So I don't know if, when you look at what they're going to want to charge, if you break it down by household, is it going to be more than a $500 tax increase, or is it going to be less than? That's how I look at it, right? If it's less than 500,000, then maybe that makes sense. But
I know Al did an assessment on this about 4 or 5 years ago, because I asked for it,
Yeah.
and he did a full assessment, and it didn't work out.
And I can just tell you in my conversations with other mayors, it's the garbage companies are kind of a monopoly to some level, and they are controlling the pricing, and there's just no negotiating with them. But go ahead, Al.
And that's correct. So it's going to have to be a town-wide bid, multi-year contract. It's going to, they're pretty much, there's 3 heavyweights that are close to within town. It's going to be Waste Management, Tascieli, or Blue Diamond. I would suspect that it's going to be between Blue Diamond or Waste Management that would win that contract. And then, the reduction in the vegetative waste, that contract is from April 1st to December 31st for leaves, grass, and brush. Okay, so you would have to drop that to a bare minimum for those people that need to cut their lawn every day, an every other week collection schedule for town. So it's a Monday through Friday from up north to the border of Dover, from Wharton to Boonton Township. That's town-wide. That's the 5-day collection schedule for vegetative. All right. We would have to see what that number is. I mean, literally, we would have to go out to bid and have that as just a line item on what it would cost Rockaway Township to collect garbage within the town, and then look at that number. And if that number is something that we can afford, then it's a no-brainer. And if it's completely out of the ballpark, we'll have to take it as that.
Can I ask a question, Al? Like, we know when it's recycling, right?
Yeah,
Because everyone has all their recycling cans out, right? I never see anything out for the vegetation pickup. I've never used that service either. So
I didn't know that.
do we have like an idea of how much vegetation is really being picked up for us to pay to have it happen?
So I gotta tell you, the amount of, the increase, has been fairly dramatic in the last few years with the vegetative collection. More people up north are taking advantage of it. We can't absorb a hit with once you go up north, the people that have 3 or 4 acres of property and they blow it all onto the street. The DEP ruling on that to put it to the curb is 10 days it can sit there. We can't collect it within 10 days. It's impossible. We're 138 miles of roadway. So, like, I'll give you, if you're familiar with Crescent Ridge, that would be mountains of leaves on both sides, and you'd be lucky to get a smart car through the center of it. Okay, so that's a monumental task once you start going further up north of the end of town.
I would suggest everybody get a goat. I have plenty of them, and I have no vegetative issues. If anybody wants to borrow them, I'll be more
It's
than
like
happy.
tricycle.
Mr. Quinn, is your question or comment on this?
Do that, so
I believe we do have a contract right now with Waste Management.
For bulk.
And for bulk, and, that contract, we can't renegotiate it at this time, so we have to wait, because if you want to do a contract negotiation, you got to do it as a package deal. So, it's something we can eventually look into if that's what your thought is, and maybe bring it up at future budget meeting, but right now, we're locked in.
And that's correct. The contract is up this year. So Brian and myself, and Allison Stein and Dennis Crother sat down with Waste Management, kind of went over some things. But we are coming up with a new contract to go out to bid. And one of the things that we discussed internally was to go out and get pricing for trash collection townwide.
Excellent.
Are there any local towns that actually do pick up their own trash anymore still? Wharton is the only one, right? I know Jefferson had someone else.
Wharton and Parsippany, the only two that I know of. Everyone else is everyone else has privatized.
Yeah, or done the MOU.
MUA, correct.
What,
So I have looked and tried to contract through MCMUA for recycling collection and for trash collection, and they're not capable of collecting a town of our size. They collect small towns, Rockaway Borough, Mindale, et cetera, like that.
Yeah, I'll just share, in the discussion with Waste Management, our current provider, one of the things that they shared was due to the way that the New Jersey state laws around purchasing are, they have to have vehicles newer than a certain date. And that means if they're gonna take on an overall townwide contract, they have to purchase trucks. One of the things that's a little odd about Rockaway is you have very, very tight streets, you have Green Pond Road, you have areas where you don't want employees out of the vehicle, you have areas where you can't get a pickup truck to up that road to get the trash. So it's a very diverse set of equipment that they would need to purchase in order to get this contract going. So we're obviously working very closely with them to get a spec together to do a solid waste alternate in our bid, to get household garbage in the bid, to see what that number is. But it's gonna be interesting to see, because they're obviously gonna be taking on a big capital cost in order to do that. And it does impact who can do it too, so.
I would think they have the proper equipment since they've just switched over all to those self-dumping cans.
Sure, the self-dumping cans can't serve as much of White Meadow Lake, so that was one of their concerns.
They don't have those in White Meadow Lake.
There's no room for the truck.
The truck is
No, I'm just
wide.
curious, they don't use
There
those trucks.
are a couple of streets in White Meadow that I have seen. Blue Diamond uses, it's called the One-Armed Bandit, comes out the side of the truck. There's an area limitation with that, with overhead wires. Once you start getting congested with parking on the side, you can't get the truck in there without ripping the front bumper over someone's car. So that's where it still becomes a person coming out of the truck. Waste Management utilizes a system, it's called the Corrado system, where you actually dump the waste into the front, and they get to an intersection, they can dump it into the back. So there's different ways of collection, but they are pretty much across the board, everyone's looking a way to getting rid of or limiting the amount of rear load packers that are out there.
Thank you.
All right, I have a
Oh, and I'm sorry, one other thing. To answer your question, everything is advertised. It's on recycling. You go on to recycling and through the website. It's on the Recollect app.
The app is
Punch in
great.
your address.
Oh, no, I
and
know.
the little,
I've just never done it.
Oh, I get the alert, I just never use the vegetation aspect. It just blows around by 3.5 acres.
I have a couple questions. Are we done with the trash?
I am. Thank
Okay, I have a couple questions for our chiefs. I know that, Mr. Heinzelman, you and I have spoken about this before. With the wildfires that we have had, we have heard about how invaluable drones have been. I don't see drones on the budget, right? And I'm wondering, I'd like your opinion on looking into or even purchasing specifically a thermal camera drone, so we do not have to rely on other towns. I would think it would be helpful for hotspots. I also think it would be helpful if, should somebody get lost while hiking out in the woods. Opinions?
I think drone technology is valuable. Training a pilot to FAA Section 107 is an expense. And then that resource becomes potentially limited because somebody could get lost or a fire can happen 24 hours a day. So who's going to be the holder of that license? And then what vehicle is going to be put in to deploy and have available for the town?
What do you think? What is the, hang on, Mr. Mayor.
I mean, it depends on what you, if you get a unmanned aerial aircraft and it's greater than, I believe it's 105 milligrams, you need that FAA section certification. If you're gonna start putting sensors on it for thermal imaging, it's going to bring that weight above that point and you're gonna need that certificate. And the cost of that vehicle is thousands of dollars. You can get tethered aircraft where you just open a suitcase and there's a wire that connects it. That's cheaper, easier to deploy. You know, we can keep it here at the building. The police can access it if they need. Fire can grab it if we need it. But I don't know how far horizontally that can travel from where you drop that suitcase and deploy that wired or tethered vehicle into the air.
All right, so a couple questions. One, how much does licensing cost for that,
It was
roughly?
a training class. I think it was $800
Okay.
coming up in the next 2 months. Not terribly expensive, but again, it becomes a critical resource. And then how many people do we want to get trained so that you have reasonable coverage so that the township has that asset available, but then also you can maintain a work-life balance for the employee.
Would that be
Would it-
something that should
hang
go
on.
to the police department?
Guys, I have the floor. Sorry. Again, that's a question, I mean, and again, for our fire and police, in my mind, because I'm very in favor of it, right? I mean, would it be reasonable to start with one person per firehouse and, you know, maybe our sergeants or whoever we know that would possibly cover each shift?
I'm open to any solution, because I think the technology is there and valuable. If, I think maybe a sergeant or somebody in the police department, maybe even the one detective that has fire investigation training, and me, fire official, or the fire inspector we have, at least then we have 2 people or 3 people that can be deployed in that time, and then roll it out to more police or fire personnel if we see a value to it. The county has a program that we can use, so in-house is good, but is it worth the training and investment in?
Well, that's a question. Would you say that the return that we would have seen if those drones, again, during the wildfires, I've heard nothing but good things about them, and I would think that there was certainly a life and property saving component on the deployment of those drones. Unfortunately, the fires had carried on for so long that we were able to, you know, if we had those in-house, how much sooner could we have deployed them? right? And that's a question you can't answer. I'm just saying, who knows?
And hopefully we don't have any of those events happen for
Right,
the
but
rest
the
of
whole
our
point
careers.
of you guys is having you and not, we hope we don't need you, no offense. But that's the whole point of this, is it's a preventative measure. Hopefully, if we, do talk about it, we would never need them.
I can certainly look into the cost of training and vehicle acquisition and bring it back.
Chief, I'm interested in your perspective.
Yeah, again, it's certainly a valuable tool, right? So it's both law enforcement for operations, right? Again, across a large spectrum for a lot of reasons. There's advantages to the unmanned as well as the tethered craft. One of the things that we have available to us currently is Morris County and their facility, which they come out, and again, depending on the response time, half hour, 45 minutes maybe, depending on traffic. One of the things that they also have their communication center, which provide a lot of graphics to those that were actually in the command center. All right, so as vehicle rolls up, it gets attached to that, you can see all the way around. So there's a lot of value to that, but some of the concerns ultimately are supporting that program in its entirety from the time that you decide that you'd like to support that, to get the correct craft. And again, we could be talking about, so for example, one of the things that happened during that event, and it wasn't ours, it was the county's, they lost one of their craft, came down and was destroyed, obliterated. So again, there's some other things involved in, again, insurances and different things like that. But that whole package, again, an excellent resource. It's just whether, the town would like to bring that here, whether fire and police, and the training that needs to happen on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, I literally there was a presentation within the last week of another police department using that technology and really started talking about a lot of complexities, but they certainly enjoyed having that for a lot of law enforcement purposes. But realizing how complex that is for the operator and the certifications that have to take place in terms of flight patterns, where you can fly, where you can't, and again, we're in a lot of areas for flight patterns for aircraft, things like that. So certainly as a program in and of itself, it's an excellent tool for whether fire, whether search and rescue, all right, excellent tool. It's just there will be an ultimate cost to us in order to actually bring that, not just a $30,000 craft with a high resolution camera, which again is part of that package. So again, excellent tool. Certainly if the town would look to get involved, we can get some information and get back to the council in reference to it.
I hate to break it down this far. Do you want a drone?
Again, I would take a drone program anytime, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Can I just ask a question? If you wanted a drone, why didn't you put it in the budget?
Well, again, no, it's just, right,
Monumental.
I see a lot in town, and this is not a bad thing, but I see a lot of things, even within the council, is we're hesitant to get involved with things because we think it's too much, or we think like it's too much to administer, or we think that we can't enforce it, things like that. Coming off of the wildfires, I know they used them in West Milford, right? And unfortunately, they lost somebody up there. Could that have helped? God forbid, somebody gets hurt or we lose a substantial amount of property and we say, if only we had a drone.
I think there's value to it. To answer the mayor's question, why it wasn't put into the budget, at least with respect to the fire department's budget, the chiefs and I moved towards identifying needs, and I think the drone program more falls into a want category. So to deliver a $0 budget, the drone program just falls outside of that scope.
But sometimes you would admit there is new technologies and we should possibly take advantage of them.
I would agree with that.
Yes.
But
Right.
the reason it wasn't put in the budget, because it's not a day-to-day need for us. It's a want, and I want it. It's a wish list. But I can't sit here and advocate that versus something else that the fire department or maybe the police department needs today when we can rely on those one-off opportunities with our county partners?
How many times last year did we use the boat for an actual rescue?
Well, there's,
But again,
maybe
it's,
one hand you can count?
okay, but again, that's the point, is, you know.
But
one
how
could
many
also-
times do we use the county's drone?
Twice, still on one hand?
You have a question about this?
As the chief said, there is FAA restrictions because of Picatinny Arsenal. Drones are not allowed to fly over that area.
But we would be there with that
But if there was.
Yeah, I'm sure they would give you a quick approval, should it be for something like that.
And then second, AI technology is coming and changing all the time. And what's gonna happen is, as we get certified, there's a new version and a new program that's gonna have to be implemented, which now is another cost, and that just keeps going until AI basically takes over the world, so.
You're not gonna make a motion for an AI-controlled fire truck, right? Okay, so, Ms. Palmieri, here's my question. Should I make a motion to initiate a drone program? What kind of effect would, let's say, a $40,000 budget line have on the overall tax burden per citizen?
Some would be capital.
Yeah,
Down
some
to
of
the
it would be
penny.
Capital, right? So the purchase of the drone itself, I
Right.
assume it has a 5-year life. As long as it has a 5-year life and it's over 5,000, we can put it in capital. As far as the education and the training, that would not have an impact on the 25.
So it would not have an impact?
It would have an impact, but it would be so minuscule that,
It would be minuscule?
Yes.
Cents?
yes.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to add a $40,000 line item for the research and purchase of a drone system, inclusive of training, understanding that this is just getting the program off the ground. We may come back next year and look to expand it and/or kill it. There's a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
You need that clarified.
Are you asking for the 40,000 to be added to the capital budget?
You tell me. What
Well,
am I asking?
so the training portion, which is minimal, would be
Right.
in the operating. The purchase of the drone itself, which I don't know what that number is, would be added to capital.
So I would imagine, again, not knowing what these cost, I would imagine a $10,000 capital expense for a drone, and maybe we can reduce that and say 10,000, if we think it's around $800 per person, we could just maybe say $10,000 for training and, look to get at least 10 people trained up on it. So I'll amend my motion for $10,000 to capital, $10,000 to training, for a total of $20,000, understanding that the tax implications are minuscule to non-existent. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander.
I wonder if it's really necessary at this time.
That's why you're going to vote yes or no?
No.
Councilman Quinn.
I'll vote yes.
Councilman Brooks.
I'll go for it. Yes.
Councilwoman Noon.
I think there needs to be more research done before we do this, so I'm a no.
Councilman Vojtovich.
Yeah, I mean, based on what was just said with mutual aid, and we used the drone twice, I don't think there's a need for that right this time, so I'm a no.
Council Vice President Brooks.
No.
Council President Morrison.
Yes. It's 3 yeses, 4 noes, motion does not carry. Okay, my second question is AEDs. So I know that we have 17 units. They are in each of our recreational facilities. I'd like opinions on looking into more. I believe like at Peterson Field, we have 2, right? And there's one on the concession stand, or in the concession stand, and there's one in one of the dugouts, right?
We added all our vehicles have that too as well.
Okay. Again, opinions on, now that we know, during sometimes basketball court is used a heck of a lot more. Yeah. Okay. See how fast we get
You already made it happen.
nice. I know. Do you want drones for Peterson Field?
Drones with AEDs.
Yes. You just hover and shock somebody. Thanks. Again, just an opinion, if you feel, I know AEDs are very inexpensive for what we get on them. If there is any concerns or if there is any thoughts on needs for more of them
Around town, yeah.
So,
around town.
there's an ordinance that, was put in, I think, 2012, requiring AEDs in buildings of specific size and occupancy. A couple years ago, I was asked how that program is going. So during our periodic fire inspections, I do my best to note where these are. I've identified 54 in private buildings throughout the town. 5 of those are compliant with the ordinance that was passed in 2012. I think it's if you have more than 500 people in the building, you need to put an AED in. So in addition to the town-owned properties and sports facilities and buses that we operate, there's also these in commercial buildings throughout the town. So they're out there. I think they're incredibly valuable. Seconds matter when somebody's having a cardiac event. And these devices are, even if they're expensive, they're worth their weight in gold.
And we all agree, right? So the question is in our public spaces, is there any gaps? Is there any need for more of these? I believe they're less than $1,000 per. Mr. Dyer? 1,050 per. And are they or are they not maintained by an outside company, or is that us? Or is that wrong? We maintain them.
The batteries go, we get the batteries, but we have a spreadsheet we maintain.
Okay.
Take them in, put them out.
Is there any public spaces that we're not thinking of that would benefit?
Well, currently, Council President, one of the recommendations that we just made is for the supervisor vehicles for DPW, being that they're always out and about, then that would be 6 additional AEDs.
Okay.
Is there one at Park Lake?
Yes, I believe so, isn't it?
In the gazebo?
It's none on our side, so we might want to consider that.
What about the senior center?
I believe the senior center has
Put 3 there.
one on each floor.
One up and down?
Wow. Any other public spaces that you can think of?
That are township controlled? I don't think so.
Mr. Dyer?
Yeah, that's, that'd be a while, yeah.
And how many DPW trucks were we talking about?
6.
6?
And then one at Park Lake.
Yeah.
So you put 10,000, you get 10.
That's what my motion is going to be, I'd like to make a motion for,
We can purchase them in
I'd
capital.
like to make a motion to place $10,000 in the capital for the purchase of 6 AEDs for DPW supervisors. Would we need maybe 2 in Parks Lake, or just one in the gazebo, maybe one on?
There's already one on the borough side.
Okay. So that's 7, so $10,000 for 10, another 3 provisional. Write that down.
I'll second.
Okay. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander?
Yes.
Councilman Quinn?
Yes, money well spent.
Councilman Brooks?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon?
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich?
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks?
Yes.
Council President Morrison?
Yes, at 7 yeses, motion carries. Thank you, council.
You should have won if you
And me?
win there.
It's all public safety. All right, any other discussion on section 23? This is our last section. I'd like to make a motion to pass section 23 with the changes noted.
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Freelander?
Yes.
Councilman Quinn?
Yes.
Councilman Brooks?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noon?
Yes.
Councilman Vojtovich?
Yes.
Council Vice President Brooks?
Yes.
Council President Morrison?
Yes, 7 yeses, motion passes. All, thank you again for a very productive budget meeting. I want to thank everybody for their time. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn by consensus. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
We don't have to approve 22.
If anybody doesn't want their book, I'll take it.